up, good people? Yeah. We gonna go live soon. I'm just tapping in, making sure y'all with me. As soon as we good, we good. All right. It's been a while since I saw y'all beautiful tag names. Word up. We got a serious topic today, man. I'm telling you. NRG, it's all good, it's all love, brother. Peace. What's happening, good people? This gift here for Payusnomind. And today, we are talking about this new dangerous playlisting scheme and how it exposes the way that digital distributors are tackling the issue of streaming fraud. So I just want to thank everybody for tapping in, man. I appreciate you guys. I miss y'all. You know, I hope everybody's been doing good. I hope everybody feeling fine. You know, this message, this broadcast finds you well. Now, listen, man. This new scheme and why it's dangerous is because it doesn't require artists to do anything, nothing at all. And I found out about it by checking the stats of one of the artists that I work with, because I've reignited programs that I have and I've started working with artists again. So I checked their stats, and in their stats, I see this huge spike in streams for one day. This major jump. So the first thing you wonder is, what's the reason for this spike in streams? What's causing this spike? So then you go to check out the sources and you see playlists, and you go check out the playlist and you see this one playlist, chartmob.net dash chart promotion. So I'm like, what's this? I go check it out. This is what I see. Right? So you look at this here. And what you see is 900, or what is this? This is 9,999 songs. 9,999 songs added over 24 hours. All of these songs were added 3 days ago. What human being has the ability to sit and add 9,999 songs to a single playlist? Right? So I see this. All of these songs added. And then I saw the spike in streams. Now, this is all very suspicious. From the setup of the playlist to this spike in streams. But what makes it dangerous is the fact that I, nor the artist, or anybody we work with have signed up to use this playlist. They are promoting their service by randomly adding the songs of indie artists to the playlist. That is how they're promoting the playlist. So basically, you go into your Spotify for artists, you see this huge huge increase in streams, like I did. You wonder where it's coming from. You check out their service, and then hopefully you pay to keep it going. Because what they did was they spiked the artist streams for 1 day, and then after that day, it plummeted. So it's almost like a free sample. It's just giving you a taste and hoping that that taste makes you want to pay for the service and value the service. Now, that is crazy because the artist, again, does not need to take any action. So you don't have to go to their website. You don't have to sign up for their service. You don't have to do anything like that. Nobody on your team has to do anything like that. However, this service is finding songs to add. It's identifying indie artists and putting their music on the playlist and pumping the numbers as a way to promote its service. And it's dangerous because of the way that digital distributors tackle streaming fraud. Now, for anybody that's been alleged to be engaging in streaming fraud and had their music removed and whatnot, you know, these platforms, these digital distributors are taking a zero tolerance policy where you get accused, you get removed. Final. So they get the word from Spotify that Spotify thinks you're engaging in streaming fraud. What happens is they withhold all of your royalties. So whatever royalties you were owed, they keep or pay it back to Spotify or whatever have you. They remove your music from all stores and they ban you from using their distribution service. So all of those things happen as a result of them suspecting you of free streaming fraud. Now, the assumption with their mode of operation is that it's intentional, it's purposeful, or like done on purpose, right? Like you haven't been a victim yourself. You are victimizing the streaming platform. So that's what the assumption is. And they're punishing you for abusing the platform. And you see a lot of them putting up these notices where they send out an email blast and they're like, hey, here's how you avoid streaming fraud. Here's steps that you could take. Don't use services that overpromise this, that, and the third, and all of these different things. And all of that's well and good. But again, it assumes that it's intentional. or something that you've done, right? Like even if it's accidental, it's done on behalf of something that, or of something as a result of what you've done. You've signed up for some service that you got hoodwinked into, and that service is engaging in streaming fraud. And okay, that's your fault because you're ignorant to the way that these things work. And okay, you want to make that argument? All right. Even though with that, it's like, dude, if an artist gets hoodwinked, they're a victim. So why victim shame, right? Like that's the popular term that a lot of the kids are using, the victim shaming thing. It's like, why abuse the victim? They've already been abused. So now we're going to double abuse them? You know, it doesn't make a whole world of sense. But moving on from that and get into the fact of the way that this chartmob.net is operating. The artist has done nothing. They haven't signed up for a service. So there hasn't been any kind of, oh, oops, I made a mistake. They have zero involvement. Somebody has taken their song, put it on a playlist, and pumped the numbers. So now the artist is going to be held accountable for that. So now because some of these artists don't even check their streams. They're not checking their Spotify for artists and stuff like that. They just wait for what they get from their digital distributor when they get paid and stuff like that. So it's like they might not even spot this. All they're going to get is a notice that says, hey, you've engaged in streaming fraud and now your music is being taken down and we're not paying you whatever royalties you're owed. That is wildly unfair. Like, this experience has really like opened my eyes to like what's going on. I mean, it was already messed up the way they were going about it, but like, this is crazy. So, because it's like, you think about it. Anybody, any service provider having nothing to do with you can add your music to a playlist and cause your entire catalog to come down, cause you to be banned, cause you to lose all of your royalties. Dude, you talking, let's say I got beef with some type of sassy dude that doesn't want to confront me about whatever issues we have, and he decides to just go and pay some streaming platform on the low to jack up a whole bunch of streams to get my music removed from all stores and all of this other stuff to kind of like wreak havoc on my career. It's like people can do these types of things, and there is no way to hold them accountable. You get held accountable for something that you had nothing to do with. You know? So it's like recently I had a conversation with the guy behind Two Lost Distribution. And it was a good conversation, man, you know, because I had certain issues with it from scale, and which he really seemed to take an issue with, man, the scale thing. Like the whole discussion, that's all he talked about was the scale thing. And I brought up the topic of KYC on their platform, know your customer, where you have to scan your ID and take a selfie or whatever have you, right, to be able to use their service. And his argument for that was streaming fraud and thwarting streaming fraud. And while we're talking, I'm like, all right, cool. I could see the point. I could see this, right? And I left that conversation feeling good about the service, feeling good about the ways, what they were doing, you know, and I was on board. I was like, hey, man, I'm ready to kind of endorse these guys and promote the service. But then I thought about it. And I was like, yo, how does this really stop streaming fraud? And even before this thing with ChartMob, I was thinking, and I'm like, yo, this assumes that it's intentional, because the only way KYC has any impact on streaming fraud is if artists are signing up with aims of engaging in streaming fraud. If the artist isn't planning on engaging in streaming fraud and they just kind of getting caught up in something, or something like this chartmob.net thing happens to them, KYC doesn't stop that, you know? And then another aspect of that conversation popped into my head, which was him stating that, hey, if Spotify accuses an artist that is distributing through us of streaming fraud, we can just give them their information. Basically, they can give them your state ID and your photo and let them do whatever they want with it. Now, you think about that. And it's like, okay, you got the dude that is on trial now for streaming fraud, where they're trying to give him what, 40 years? Because it's wire fraud, right? When you get paid for streaming fraud, it's considered wire fraud. So now they hand over your information to Spotify. You caught up in this whole thing that you got nothing to do with. Somebody just added your song to a playlist, pump your numbers. Now, possibly, you could be getting subpoenaed. You know, people want you to come give a deposition, right? All sorts of stuff that you caught up in. And it's like, yo, dude, you had nothing to do with this. So it's like, listen, man, these distributors are bugging with the way that they operate in, man. And I mean, listen, it makes sense, right, to some effect, because it's like, hey, they're trying to protect their bottom line. And it's like, yo, at the end of the day, they got a client base. And they're not really taking steps to protect their client base. Really, they're operating almost like a fast food restaurant where they know there's so many people that are desperate for employment that they don't think that they got to treat anybody particularly well, because if anybody quits, there's like 1,000 people right behind them ready to come in. And that's the way that they're operating. That's the way these digital distributors are operating. And it's like, I know the numbers have slowed down on artists signing up for these services, and justifiably so with the way that they're operating. So it's like the reality of the situation is, even with resolutions to these things, the customer service is horrible, you know? And it's not like, because a lot of them want to try to like tear off customer service and say, hey, you pay us $20 a month and we'll respond to you in 5 business days. Pay us $60 a month and we'll respond to you in 2 business days. And the reality of the situation is, it's like, yo, terrible customer service faster. The service doesn't improve. So it's like something like this happens to you. All you got is an email. You email them. Odds are, whoever get emailing can't even do nothing to help you. All they can do is be like, all right, cool, we're going to look into it. Next thing you know, your music is getting taken down. And you're like, well, I just talked to somebody. I told them what happened. And then nobody wants to talk to you after that. So then you're sending emails and there's no replies. And that's what's frustrating a lot of people about it, because it's like, yo, dude, I can't even plead my case, because they don't want to dedicate any kind of manpower to resolving these resolutions, because their business model of $20 a year for unlimited or whatever have you, have them with so many artists that they're overwhelmed. You know? And the reality of the situation from the artist perspective, if you don't want to get caught up in this stuff, or you want to be able to have a pathway of resolving it, you got to use distributors that might be more expensive, but provide you with actual customer service. Like a lot of these digital distributors in the UK and the European Union, for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe their consumer base expects more of them, but most of those guys that I'm coming across, they have support phone numbers. They have like staff with office hours for live chat, all of these things. I mean, in the US, the only company that I've seen with anything similar is Venice. Venice is the only distributor that has like a support person that you can contact, text, set up live video chats with. They have a community that you could go into and have conversations with people. And, you know, like I could take this video and go into their community and post it for everybody in their community to see, and for their whole team to see and respond to and have a conversation about. You know, they got live chat, all of these different things for there to be a measure of recourse with these types of things. So the artist in question that I was working with is under Venice. And this is the reason why I sent them there. So something like this happens. And what do? I jump on my phone and I text Donovan. I'm like, hey, man, look, this is what I see. This is what's going on. This looks suspicious to me, you know? And he can say, okay, contact this person, and that can be taken care of, you know? And I could alert the rest of the community, and we not be penalized for something that we've got no involvement in rather. So it's like I look at all these other digital distributors, and if this happened to me with TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid, Two Lost Distribution, Ditto, any of these other services, what would I do? Nothing. I wouldn't be able to do anything. My music would get banned, I would get banned, and that would be the end of it. So it's like, yo, man, it's kind of like buying a car. Like they tell you your leverage is your feet, because if you're willing to leave, you know, their goal is to get you to buy a car. So if they know that you're willing to leave, then you can get a better deal. And I feel like artists need to start using these services that have quality customer service to force these other services to up their game and provide quality customer service too. You know? Now with this chartmob.net thing we see, clearly this is not just a matter of artists being guilty of engaging in streaming fraud, where it's just like, oh, just punish the artist. So it's like, yo, man, this comes down to a point of like, yo, I'm calling on TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby, Symphonic, Amuse, Two Lost Distribution, all of these services out here that are like on their Twitter feed, hey, artists, come use us. Ooh, independent, you know, do it yourself. All of this other, I'm calling on y'all, man, to step up, man, you know, improve your services, create some way to be able to identify this stuff and come to a resolution that is not just punishing the artist, as if every artist is out here intentionally engaging in streaming fraud, in streaming fraud and doing this type of stuff on purpose. Because this isn't the right way to go. To just say, hey, we take your royalties, yeah, man, let me know what y'all thoughts are. Because I feel like this is wild. Word, yo. And if you're in the building, tap in so I know you in the building so I could shout you out and all of that good stuff, man. Yeah, man. Jerry NRG, Mecha Godzilla, what up, my guy? DPM, what's up? Naughty Jackal, what's good? Yeah, man. So let me see what's up, man. Jerry NRG says this is the bait and switch, so Spotify can keep your money again. I mean, it all seems really suspect because it's like, yo, dude, you can't tell me that there's no other way, that all they could do is just punish the artist. Yeah, man, there gotta be a better way, you know? Like, and this is the thing too. So it's like Spotify subscribers are paying $10 a month for the service. So if a Spotify user, a premium user that's paying them $10 a month, engages in streaming fraud, like they put an artist song on a playlist and stream it repeatedly 24 hours a day, the artist gets their music removed and banned by their digital distributor, but the user who's stream frauding their music doesn't face any penalty. How is that fair? You know how? Because Spotify continues to make their $10. They get rid of you, and that money, because remember, if the streaming fraud is benefiting major artists, then there's no harm, no foul. You know, it's only something that is a negative if it's taking money away from mainstream artists. It's BS, man. It's BS. Yeah, man. So Naughty Jackal says TuneCore's Pro tier seems okay for an artist, but again, not sure. I mean, listen, man, TuneCore is one of the more reliable distributors. But I think for all of these distributors in the US anyway, outside of Venice, it's risky business. Because if you get accused of something, dude, they're just gonna punish you. No questions asked. Word, yo. But yeah, man, if anybody got anything they want to ask me before I tap out, go watch a movie or whatever, let me know. Word, yo. But yeah, man, I mean, listen, I'm seeing all of this stuff. I don't know if y'all been watching all of these labels, these record companies firing their artists, their A&Rs, dumping their rosters. A lot of people talking about they're going to move into digital distribution, possibly. But I mean, digital distribution is a zero profit condition. There's so many people doing it. I don't even know if there's any money in this business right now. So it's like for them, I think this is the moves that they're making is more a matter of AI than digital distribution. Because it's like, yo, if you look at these platforms like Suno and stuff like that, where it's like you could just have it generate all of these songs, and the songs that it's generating aren't too far off the songs that you hear right now in the mainstream from pop and R&B and things of that nature. It sounds like almost identical. So it's like, dude, combine that with how Spotify work, where it's not about the artist, it's just about these playlists where the listener doesn't know the artist's name, doesn't know the song titles, doesn't know what the artists look like. Songs just come on and go off. So it's like in a world where the whole industry is dependent on artists, because fans got to connect with artists and identify with them in some type of way, like the way that we identified with DMX and 50 Cent and Tupac and stuff like that. When you had a dynamic like that, you needed artists. But in a dynamic of music just plays, like you go back to the older days of radio before music videos were a thing, and they could have 100 different artists sing the same song, and it was all about the songwriter and not so much about whoever the recording artist was. It's like you kind of coming back to that, where it's like you got all of these songs. Nobody knows who the artist is. Nobody cares. Dude, it could entirely be AI. Why couldn't it be? So for a record company, they could just have an AI program pumping out endless songs. They control distribution on these streaming platforms. So they could get whatever songs the AI pump out on all of the editorial playlists, on all of the algorithmic playlists, everywhere, and just maintain control and market share that way. And that way, where we talk about how independent artists are going to be eating up market share because there's so many more of them releasing so much music that the labels can't keep up, the record companies can't keep up. Yeah, in a traditional world of them signing artists and having to work to release music and, you know, do all of that stuff, but not in the world of AI where they could just generate thousands of songs. So I think at the end of the day, these firings aren't so much about them being like, oh, let's make this move into digital distribution, but more so about them being like, all right, cool. We can seeing how they can leverage AI and not have to be dependent on artists at all. And I mean, you look at an app like Suno, where it's like, dude, $8 a month and you own whatever it is you have it generate 100%, the publishing and the sound recording. Dude, it's crazy time. Normalized Audios says we got to be revolutionary. Think fast and break things. Remember punk rock, right? DPM Network says, you are right. All of these distributors don't provide support. Yeah, man. Normalize is like AI mastering. Give me a break. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, man. A lot of this stuff is like, dude, it ain't about nothing, man. But the reality of the situation is it really showcases who they think they're dealing with, which is like people that ain't really trying to do nothing. And that's like evident in the setup that these distributors have. So it's like I tweeted something about just like how these distributors are now having these cover art generators and things of that nature, where it's like, dude, if you are all the way at the point of distributing a song to streaming platforms and you don't have cover art, it's like, dude, you ain't taking this serious, because that is the representation of the song. That means that you thought you have no vision for your music. And if you've got no vision for your music, the music ain't going nowhere. Because the vision dictates everything. How you look, how the cover artwork look, what the cover artwork says about the song. When people are sorting through Spotify's dashboard, that's all they see is the cover artwork. So for them to be like, okay, you got a song, how about you make your cover artwork right here? And then you got all of these generic templates. So it's like your cover artwork basically looks like everybody else's, It's like, come on, dude. They are encouraging artists that aren't even trying. So it's like the whole thing with the cover artwork generators is not too far off from them basically marketing to the general public and being like, hey, you don't have to be an artist to distribute music. Come use our AI music generator, where any Joe Schmo could go sign up for TuneCore, use an AI generator to create songs, distribute the songs, use their cover artwork generator to create cover artwork for it, and distribute it to streaming platforms where they're not dependent on actual artists for a client base. Now anybody could be their client base. It's like shopping at Walmart. You too can release music. Yeah, man. Maddie DeRosie says, TuneCore said my buddy had fraudulent streams on Spotify and took his music down and refused to pay him. He contacted Spotify and they told him there was never any fraudulent streams detected and sent messages to TuneCore. They threatened him with court action for going to Spotify and getting his music details to prove there was no fraudulent streams. Crazy, I don't understand TuneCore. Listen, stories like that, I got to take with a grain of salt. Because the reality of the situation is, if somebody tells me they went to Spotify and Spotify told them there was no streaming fraud, they got to show me an email that Spotify said that. Like if you haven't seen an email that's where Spotify said, hey, we haven't seen any streaming fraud, then I don't believe that, and Spotify communicated with TuneCore. It's like, yo, dude, these companies don't have endless resources. They're not investigating anything on behalf of an individual artist. That's a part of the problem. Nobody has the scale to deal with the issues of individual artists. There's too many. So it's like streaming fraud, yes, real issue. Artists getting caught up in it and flagged unjustly and getting their royalties taken and banned, yeah, that's happening. All of this stuff where these artists say they reached out to Spotify, Spotify said this, reached out. I don't believe that stuff. That's yeah, man. And then at the same time, there's no skin off their back to tell you whatever. Yeah, man. So I appreciate everybody for tapping in and all of that, man. It's been good seeing y'all, chatting with y'all. So this kind of gives me a lot of energy, man. chopping it up with y'all. But listen, the Payusnomind.info website, I got all of the distributor reviews up there now with like ratings, breaking down like the top reason why you would use a digital distributor and what I feel like, issues could be. And this platform is going to be kind of like the place where you could go to find reviews on all of these different services that are trying to get artists to give them their money effectively. So this is where I'll be reviewing everything. I'll be putting reviews up there. You could come there, you can see the ratings, and you can get an idea of what these services stand for. And the difference I feel like with this platform that I built is it's not like how these other quote unquote review sites where all they're doing is telling you what a service is and what it does, right? It's like, yo, here's this playlisting service. You use it, they distribute, they blast your music out to playlist curators, they listen to your music, and there's no opinion. They're not really dissecting it or analyzing it or giving you any insight that you could be like, oh, well, damn, man, like that makes sense. Like, oh, I didn't know that it worked like that, or I didn't know that this could happen, and all of these different types of things. So we're trying to inform artists and help them understand how these things fit, whether they make sense or not. So that's what we plan to do with this platform, man. And from a marketing perspective, I've started working with artists again. And on that tip, it's like I see a lot of artists doing these things where they're like maybe spending like $100 a month on like Facebook ads or something like that to promote their music. And the one thing that I know is like that's not going to get you anywhere, $100 a month. So what I did was partner with a firm to basically be able to allow artists to get funding by breaking payments up into monthly installments. So an artist could get like $1,000 or $2,000 budget for their music, where we could run an ad campaign for them and drive a whole bunch of traffic and build momentum and help them develop something sustainable that they could kind of like build on long term. And they get the 1,000 or 2,000 and break that up into payments over 24 months if they want. So it's like they could break it into 12 months, 24 months, whatever works for them. So now, rather than running a campaign where you are literally spending $100 a month or whatever and getting whatever you can get for $100 a month, you can spend $1,000 and run a campaign for a month and get a foundation. And then after that, all it is just feeding those fans that you got with more releases and growing it out. Because a lot of these strategies that people talk about, where they say, hey, man, what they call it, waterfall strategies, where you just pump out a whole bunch of releases. It doesn't matter how many releases you put out if there's no demand, if there's no listeners to receive it. So it's like you need the foundation. You need like at least 100 listeners to where when you drop in music, it goes to them, they consume it, and through the consumption that they have, it can spin out into bigger things. But you need a foundation. And that's what I'm trying to help artists create. And this allows them to get a large budget, 1,000, 2,000, maybe more, whatever it is they feel like they need or can swing. I just don't want the monthly payments for them to be nothing that they can't handle, right? So I'm trying to be reasonable with the kind of budget that I feel like they might want to try to take advantage of. But you do something like that, and if you're paying it off over 24 months, then they don't charge you any interest. So it's like the way to do it is when you go to the shop page, like I got a link to my store in the description box, you go to the marketing section, and when you checking out, you select the firm rather than going the standard checkout way where you check out with a credit card or whatever have you. You select the firm, And then they'll walk you through the whole process of how you can break it up into installment payments. Now, as always, you guys can agree to disagree or agree, whatever the case may be. Feel free to hit me at Payusnomind on Instagram, at Payusnomind on Twitter, Payusnomind@gmail.com. This is Gift, signing off. Pay us no mind. Peace, good people. One.